Animals Radio Show, your weekly voyage into Florida fishing. Presented by Hubbard's Marina. Hosted by Captain Mike Anderson and Captain Dylan Hubbard.
Good morning, Tampa Bay, 970 WFLA. Talking Fishing going to be here until 8 o'clock.
Unfortunately, only till 8 o'clock.
The great Derek DeBose on the other side of the wall here. He is engineer, producer extraordinaire this morning. His will be the first voice you hear if you want to join us. Questions, comments, fishing reports, bring them right here, 1-800-969-9352. How's the weather? It looks clear.
The weather is a little interesting this week.
Well, the week was definitely interesting.
Yeah, I think this week is going to be a lot of the same. It seems like we have kind of a pattern settling in for this week where we have some of those morning showers most of this week coming up. Really, Sunday through Thursday looks like there's pretty strong potential for overnight into early morning showers. We're settling into that summertime pattern for sure. So this week looks very, very summer-ish with those morning storms potentially as well, along with the afternoon thunderstorms. It is it's always interesting this time of year.
Yeah, no doubt. Can I just request that we get them out of our system next week?
Check the radar.
Because the following week, I'm at the beach.
The beach.
So I'd really rather not.
It's kind of nice, though. You get those morning showers, then by 9, 10 o'clock, they're gone. It keeps things a little cooler for you. I don't be careful what you wish for over there, big dog.
Could take a nap.
Yeah. It might be nice getting the day started a little later, you know? On your little beach vacation.
Very interesting. What about today, tomorrow? How's the weather look?
Today looks gorgeous. Chance of rain, of course. So you got to watch out for that. But moderate winds, 10 mile an hour or less, 1 foot or less offshore, and looking pretty nice today. Outside of those storms, at least. So you got to dodge those bad boys. Tomorrow looks really good through the daytime, but really overnight tonight into early morning tomorrow, there's a chance for those storms, and then tomorrow night as well. And really that same pattern holds true all week. We do have a new moon coming up Wednesday, so we should have some better tides coming through, some more tidal flows, some more good moving water, and should be a good week of fishing. Really good week of fishing with that new moon coming up and things moving around, flushing, and a lot of good moving water. Yeah. It's been great around the docks inshore with lots of mangroves, a lot of snook moving around. What's weird, though, is the snook aren't stacked up on the docks in the morning. Normally this time of year, you could walk across the snook at Hubbard's dock and Don's dock and all the docks of John's Pass, and the snook really aren't there in the early mornings. I don't know if they're all up underneath the bridge, the topography of the pass, the bathymetry has changed. I can't explain it, but I guess probably just because it's too shallow under our dock now. I don't know.
That could be.
Weird.
Yeah, the topography could have changed and pushed them into a little deeper water, especially with it being so warm.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, hard to tell.
It is sad. It's sad for me. I like going out there and feeding the snook in the morning. It's fun.
I love it.
But, a lot of snook being caught in the pass, and tarpon too. Mangrove snapper are thick, a lot of trout out on the beach. It's been really good in our little microcosm of inshore fishing.
Yeah, the bite was good this week. There's no doubt about it. So, weather update brought to you by our good friends at Reese Windows and Doors. You know, they're Florida's leading window and door company, over 50 years in business. Free installation, most windows and doors installed in just 6 to 8 weeks. They only use in-house installers, no freelance contractors. Their work comes with a double lifetime warranty, which is my favorite part. That means you never pay for warranty, and when you sell your house, the warranty transfers to the new owners, which adds value to your home. Visit reeswindows.com for more information. I was really kind of shocked at the number of redfish caught this week. The redfish bite was really good, and a lot of small fish, smaller than we were catching in the spring, and I don't know where they came from. Like, all of a sudden, just boom, it seemed like there was a whole nother generation of 18, 19-inch redfish just showed up.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Where did y'all come from?
Speaking of redfish, my buddy in Galveston, Texas, runs mainly offshore trips, but the weather in Texas has been terrible.
Right.
So he's been doing a lot of the Galveston jetty trips.
Okay.
And so over there on the jetties, they target the redfish, and they get pretty big numbers of redfish on those jetties. It's the largest artificial reef structure in the world, those Galveston jetties. And it's pretty amazing that they're able to, if their offshore trip is too rough, they just hang out at the jetties and crush the fish right there. So pretty interesting style of fishing. But long story short, not getting too far into that, he caught a tagged redfish on his charter.
Really?
Clients weren't the clients weren't entered in Star. So, yep. He had some
CCA
tag
Florida Star
reds.
tournament going on right now, even in Texas.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. They have the Texas Star tournament going on, and he
That
posted
would be
photos.
the worst.
Yeah.
That would be the worst. Could have had a new boat.
Yep.
Could have had a new boat.
So I know someone personally who is experiencing the tag reds.
Listen, I've witnessed winning on my boat.
Yeah.
Winning.
The trout.
The trout won my boy a boat.
That's awesome.
He caught that on my boat in the middle of a stupid redfish bite. I mean, every cast was a giant redfish, and he literally catches this big trout right in the middle of the bite and was like, "Hey, do you mind if I brought my ruler and all my stuff? If I'd like to put that in the CCA Star tournament, if you don't mind." I'm like, "No, go ahead." I mean, I didn't care. I thought, "Oh, that's cool. He's in the Star tournament. That's great." And then there they were at the banquet, getting the keys to their new boat. It's crazy, dude. Think about
And he
that.
never chartered again.
Haven't seen him since. Good point. Good point.
Boom.
Yeah, good point. Lost a customer.
That's funny.
Yeah, lost a customer, but gained a friend. Because you know they love Captain Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Every time they turn the keys onto that new boat, that
They
motor
think about
starts.
that charter.
Yeah, I like speckled trout. But no, I was just thinking that this morning. I'm like, boy, we're kicked off here. CCA Florida Star Tournament. We might even hear from the legend today. You never know.
Yeah. Last week we just talked about it a few minutes, and sure enough, conjured her right up.
Yeah.
Immediately called.
Like the genie bottle.
Yes.
Roll
So-
out the genie bottle. Boop.
Offshore
leaves
has
the
been
show.
good for us too, man. The offshore bite's been incredible with the red snapper season in full swing, catching a lot of those big red snapper, some 19, 20, 21 pounders, some big scamp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
21 pounds?
Yeah, we got one red grouper, dude, that was over 36 inches. It had to be every bit of like 29, 30 pounds.
Wow.
Huge. Biggest red grouper I've seen in a minute.
I've never seen one nearly that big.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was huge.
No
the
kidding.
ruler on the fly up to is 36 inches, and it extended over it by, I don't know how much, but it
Enough.
was significant.
Wow.
Covered up the whole ruler.
That's crazy.
Stud. So seeing some really nice red groupers, scamp groupers, some nice mangroves. We had a mangrove this past week that was over 9 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So some big yellowtails, a couple big mutton.
A lot of big yellowtails around. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the cooler months, we were seeing more yellowtails and more muttons. We're still seeing some good numbers of yellowtails, but the mangrove snapper bite has gotten so intense. I think they're kind of drowning out the yellowtail a little bit. And the mutton seem to spread out a little bit when it gets warmer like this, get a little fewer and further between. But it'll be exciting as we get cooled off later this fall, see what happens with those bad boys. But a lot of pelagic action. We've had 2 mahi this week that had to be gaffed.
What?
Big mahi. I mean, not bull 20-pounders or nothing, but some studs for our area.
That's like the third time I've heard somebody like in the last week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, because I can't remember where I was, somebody mentioned it to me like in passing somewhere, "Hey, the mahi bite's good." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, dude, we caught some nice mahi." I'm like, "What?"
We had that really bad current around that full moon, and that current was intense. And in our area, we don't get really crazy current. Most of the time, 6-8 ounce leads is all we use. Maybe a 10-ounce lead here and there around the moons. But around this full moon, dude, 16 ounces wasn't holding bottom.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really tough. And that current was bad from about 100 foot of water all the way out to like 220. So it was a huge area. Normally, when the current gets bad in our area, you run east or west a few miles and you can get out of it. This, it didn't matter. You could run 10, 15 miles east or west and you wouldn't get out of the current.
That's insane.
But the current has slowed down a little bit on this quarter moon, so it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen this week as we approach this new moon. Will that current come back, or will it stay out of our area? But what it did do is when that current was here, that water was gorgeous. You got to that deep blue, beautiful water in 120 foot. You started to see that pelagic style color, you know, and I think that's what helped push some of those mahi our way.
First thing that jumped into my head when you said that, so I don't forget, we got to go to break here, but just so I don't forget this question. When you go from you're talking a 6 to an 8 ounce lead, and then, okay, I can see you going to a 10. If you're going to a 16,
not fun.
Do you have to change your rod?
No.
Okay, so you can do it with the same rod.
Yeah.
I would think that would change a lot.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's harder to feel right. But yesterday, speaking of pelagic, we had sailfish jumped on the flat line. What? Yeah, skyrocketing. Exciting time to get out there fishing.
It is. New moon, June, tarpon, snook, redfish.
It's time.
I love it. Good stuff. Let's talk fishing. Phone lines are open here, 1-800-969-9352. We're going to talk to Donald and Luke on the other side. Hopefully we'll hear from you as well. We'll be back 970 WFLA.
$1,000 to do whatever you want.
Shopping spree. Yes, please. That dream purchase finally yours. It's your money, your rules. Listen to News Radio WFLA after the news from 9 to 5. Get the keyword and win your $1,000 Freedom Fund.
Okay. All you gotta do is say something. It says speaker right on it. Could have done it free.
I don't know about that.
Come on, man. It says speaker right on it, dude. It's a label, for God's sake. It's windy on Monday and Tuesday.
10 to 15.
It says.
Look at those high temperatures. Steady in the mid-90s. It would help if you had one of these.
Yep. Ooh, what happened? That's the guy that got hit in the face.
What? Got hit in the face? Oh, yeah.
Rays player, I think, right?
Oh. Night Snapper said they got some good yellowtails. Slow, steady pick all night. Big mangrove was in the 8-pound range. It's pretty good.
That's real good.
Morning, Miss Tanya. Paul Brown said, I'm enjoying some deer sausage and eggs right now. Must be nice.
You got to remind me. That's cold, bro.
Paul brings it up every week and reminds me.
Cold-blooded. Stop it. Stop reminding him. Or remind him on Friday to call me.
Yeah.
Welcome back. 623 at the iHeart Media Empire. Again, phone lines open here, 1-800-969-9352. Let's check in with Donald in Lutz. My guess is he's paddling somewhere this morning. How are you this morning, Donald?
Excellent. It sounds like you guys are having a great time in there.
Always.
Yeah, I'm about to launch. I'm over at, up at Nick's Park, the boat ramp here in Port Richey.
Okay.
And Miller's Bayou, you've got all those tree lines and mangroves and docks. And then, paddle out to Durney Key. I've caught some big snook around Durney Key. I'm going to go check that out, see what's going on. And I've got my Star device, and I already got 25 entries to Star. So I'm hoping to get 200. That's the goal.
Today's the day, Donald. Today's the day that you catch the tagged redfish. And
in your mouth to God's ears.
Today's the day.
Here's to hoping.
That would be awesome. I would love that Carolina skiff.
I would love that for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That would be awesome. But I'm flying down to Texas July 3rd, picking up Henry. I'm going to have him 3 weeks.
Oh, nice.
This year. So, he's in the junior pro staff.
Yep.
We're going camping at Fort DeSoto. We've got a waterfront site. We're going fishing there. I've rented a pontoon boat. So we're going to do a pontoon boat, do a bunch of fishing. So
Very cool.
It's going to be awesome. Yeah. So he's going to have a ton of entries and Star and your tournament. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the junior pro staff kicking off. The big summer tournament kicks off 1 July for our junior pro staffers. It's going to be good. We've got Yamaha, CCA Florida with $10,000 that they put together as a community there for our scholarship program. So it's pretty cool.
That's very cool. That's impressive.
Yeah,
that really
awesome.
is.
It's awesome. Great partners.
I'm so excited for these kids.
Yeah,
I really am for all the kids.
We got a really good little pro staff this year too. So it's going to be a dogfight. We've got some great young anglers.
Yeah, I'm lucky Michaela's not in it.
Yeah, everybody's lucky Michaela's not in it.
She wins every year, right?
She went to a couple of my outings. And so, which is pretty cool. And then I saw her at the at a Salt Strong meeting, and I said, I don't know if you remember me, but you went to a couple of my outings with Pam. She goes, "Oh, I do remember you." I said, "So I know she had a great time."
Yeah, she's a really impressive young lady, really impressive. And she just graduated high school and. Absolutely, like her dad sent me all the stuff she did. Michaela Neuendorf, who we're talking about, if those of you who know her, top 3 in her class. I mean, just everything you can do. And then, let me just step on a boat and whoop everyone's keister while I'm at that too. It's like overachiever. So,
good for her.
Yeah, she's such a sweet kid. Good kid.
Pavilions here and bathrooms, so we're going to be grilling afterwards. Oh, that's going to be awesome. It'll be cheeseburgers and hot dogs if anybody wants to stop by about 1 o'clock-ish.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Donald. We'll kill them out there, buddy. Wreck them. Have yourself a day. What are you throwing? What's your bait of choice today?
I've got. I like using Gam. Can I mention the name?
Yeah, of course.
I love the gambler baits.
Oh, okay.
They're bass baits, but those little easy chicken on a chain works great. I caught my redfish up in Safety Harbor on that. Been catching trout on that.
Is that the color? Chicken on a chain? Is that the color?
It's got the chartreuse tail and some silver gold flake
Okay.
in the bottom. I don't know why it's called chicken on a chain. I have no idea, but it's chartreuse tail.
Hey, it's all
Then
good,
the
man.
white lightning, which is the pure white, but it's got the silver speck in it.
Okay.
So that sort of glows.
Pearl
So,
flash.
White lightning
so-
White lightning.
and chicken on a chain. Where do they come up with this stuff?
That's to hook the
I don't
angler.
know.
That's to hook the angler right there.
Exactly, but it works. They work. Those baits work, and they smell like garlic. And for some reason,
Oh,
fish
yeah.
love that garlic.
Oh,
And-
they do. They do.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you can always, if I ask you what bait you're using, you can always tell me. That's why I asked. For
Yep.
sure. Good
They-
stuff.
they
Well,
work.
good luck there. Be careful with your chicken on a chain.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, right. Good
yeah,
luck.
I know.
Good luck
no,
out
on
there.
a chicken wing.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff.
You guys take care. Stay safe, everybody, and tight lines.
All right,
Let's
buddy.
go get them.
All right, partner. Let
Take
us
care.
know tomorrow how you do. Good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Chicken on a chain and white lightning. Pearl silver flash.
I'm ready.
Yeah, you know what it made me think of? Bartow. Makes me want to go to Bartow.
Mardi Gras chicken.
Mardi Gras chicken is good. You're right. Maybe we get public chicken.
Nothing like facing a rotisserie.
We need a breakfast sponsor. Nobody does it. Come on,
As long as it's not Waffle House, I'm in.
Could be Waffle House. Maybe something. No, can't be. You know what we need? Skyway Jack. Good job. We went down a hole there. So somebody save it. The phone lines are open here on the other side. 1-800-969-935. Real Animals Radio.
From the local Lexus dealer.
Tournament over there at Woodlawn.
Yeah.
The 17th of May or whatever it was. And everybody wanted to go to, what's that fancy deli over there? It's like legendary. Starts with an M, I think. You would know it if I said it. It's dude, place is packed. Like, I've been there once. I didn't even eat. I'm like, I'm not even gonna deal with this. This place is too busy. So the softball guys are like, oh, we don't play for 2 hours. Let's go over there. I'm like, bro, by the time you get your food, you got like 10 minutes to stand somewhere and eat it because you can't sit down.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'll go by. I drove through the parking lot. I'm out of here. I'm like, bro, Skyway Jack's is right there. So I roll into Skyway Jack's by myself, just sat down, and this dude, one of the dudes that works there, was just kind of checking me, like smiled at me, like checking me out. I was like, what's up? So, and again, I just sat, had my omelet, killer food like always.
Yeah.
The strawberry preserves or whatever it is. You ever had it on the? Oh,
Yeah, it's good over there.
So good.
Used to go to church over there.
So good. So, and then Beth and I went for my birthday to Tierra Verde, and the residents in there, and went to dinner at Billy's Stone Crab, and then in the morning woke up, went to get breakfast, Skyway Jack's, of course, and the same guy walks over, he goes, that day you were in here, I was pretty sure. I'm like, I know him from somewhere. And then I got home on Sunday afternoon, turned on the TV, and there you were.
I knew it was
It
you.
was pretty funny, yeah. Super nice guy. They have good service in there, too.
Dang.
What?
39 hours crushing it. He said they got 10 muttons on the boat right now.
Wow.
Wow.
New moon, baby. New moon's exciting time.
So much grass out there. He said they almost couldn't fish a spot. Had to turn off all the pumps, AC, and live wells because it was sucking up so much grass.
Oh, no.
They're having some crazy sargassum weeds lines
Dude,
out there.
So Thursday,
They ran across one on the last trip that was almost 6 miles long.
we went to Anna Maria because Beth was off.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to go to the beach, so I ran her down to Anna Maria. There was sargassum all over the beach.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I'm like, I don't remember.
It's going to be good for our triggerfish and amberjack. Triggerfish and amberjack recruit those year 0, year 1 juvenile triggerfish and amberjack. That's where they recruit to cobia too. So a lot of times when we have really bad sargassum years, we'll have really big recruitment years for triggerfish, cobia, and amberjack.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it a little weird when you're out there swimming at the beach and the sargassum floats by your leg down near the bottom. You're like, ah!
And also, the sargassum a lot of times has that sea lice in it. So when you're swimming at the beach and there's a bunch of sargassum around, that's a lot of times when you get that sea lice going on. It's not fun.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, you'll know. You'll know when you get it.
Yeah.
Just immediate itch, and you just can't get it off you. There are these little microscopic bugs, and it itches like crazy. Yeah, some tourist was posting about that at Madeira Beach. They were like, "Was anybody else really itchy in the saltwater today? I couldn't get away from it, and I itched for hours after." I did want to comment, yeah, you're infested with sea lice.
How do you get them off you?
Shower, really hot water and soap. It's terrible. It happened to me for the first time in the Caribbean. Forget exactly where. I was pretty young, but I was covered. I think it was Ecuador, and I was covered in them, like just freaking out. Couldn't get away from it, and that's where I found out what it was: sea lice.
Wow, never even heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, that sounds awful.
Oh, it's the worst. Yeah, up in Destin, in the Panhandle, they get a lot of sargassum on the beach when you get that south wind. Cause so much of the sargassum ends up there in the northern Gulf, and that south wind pushes it up on the beach. And there'll be times where it's just like thick mats of sargassum. You get in the water around that stuff, you're cooked, bro.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't want to be covered in that.
Mm-mm. Not fun.
Ron's Tagalocks.
Salt, freshwater guru.
That's it. Bam.
What?
Sam in a bio. Boy. Be great if somebody'd buy the Rays.
Yeah, if they buy the Rays, that'll change things, huh?
I did send them an invoice.
Yeah. I was going to ask.
I sent it. I sent it till like the end of July, I think. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because from where they actually, when they started, and then to when we didn't bill them, and from where there, and when I needed to bill them until the end of July was like 2,800 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I just sent them that, just like. Welcome back. 636 here at the iHeartMedia Empire. You know, it's that time of year. We get all these storms, a lot of rain. Boy, if you are in need of a roof or a roof repair, you know the name, Affordable Roofing Systems. Shingle, metal, tile, flat roofs. Affordable Roofing Systems, your safest choice. Either, again, for repairs or replacements. Give them a call today at 1-888-397-ROOF for your free estimate, or visit them online at affordableroofingflorida.com. Nobody, in our opinion, does roofing any better. David Torres and his family are great, great people over there. Again, 1-888-397-ROOF. Get yourself a free estimate. Get that roof taken care of before it's too late. Phone lines are open, 1-800-969-9352. Let's get a freshwater report, see what all this rain is doing, or if maybe Polk County's not getting as much as we are, but we're getting a bunch over here. Let's check in with Ron at Ron's Tackle Box out there in beautiful Lake Alfred. Ronnie, how are you?
Well, I'm doing great. You know, you're talking about roofing. You got to re-roof. You know?
That's right.
Time to re-roof, guys.
It is time to re-roof.
That is a word.
Yes, it is.
That's it. Hey, I believe in it. Don't forget things.
No, keep Dylan in his place, buddy.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
there's actually a
I have
roofing company in the area named Re-Roof.
Is it?
Pretty funny.
Yeah,
I sent you a
that'd
picture.
be a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
comical.
Hey, I have some good news and bad news. I sold my property.
Oh, wow.
Good
I'm
for
good
you.
for you. I'm glad.
I'm going to be shutting her down here in about 30 days.
I'm not happy about that. So they just, what'd you do?
I can't find anybody that wants to have a bait and tackle store. It's ridiculous.
Sold the business. You sold the property, but not the business.
Property.
Really?
Right.
Wow. That makes no sense.
I know.
Are you
Been
having
here 30 years.
Are you
think
having
somebody say, hey?
a big blowout sale?
Yeah, half price. Anytime somebody wants to come out and
Wow.
grab it up. I've got a lot of stuff.
I bet you do.
Yeah,
Man,
that's an epic sale right there.
jeez.
Yes, sir.
What are you going to do with all your memorabilia, all your old tackle there?
Well, moving it north, a lot of it I sold already.
Oh, okay.
So I've been planning for quite a while to retire and get moving on. So I've been pushing it out. But I have a lot of equipment. I have bait tanks. I got all kinds of stuff somebody might need.
Yeah.
Come out and make them a deal.
Shoot me some pictures of those bait tanks. We can talk about those.
They're pretty nice. They're 6 foot, 2 6-footers, and I have them hooked together. It's got chillers and everything. So.
Oh, that's too fancy for me.
That's
cool.
You're looking at $1,000 for the whole thing. No big deal.
Wow.
Chillers, that's fancy. That's
Yeah.
nice. Keeps
That
keeps
is
the bait cool.
That is nice.
Yes. But anyhow, fishing out here is still great, with or without me.
It'll
lot of
never be
big
as good
shell
without you. It won't be as good without you. You go away, the fishing's going to decline.
The fish
Not
will
as many
thrive.
booyahs out there to catch all those big bass.
That's right.
I have some. I got about 2 gross of them right now. So.
Actually, what I'm thinking is, can you imagine the fish, when the fish get word of this, they're going to be like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, there you go.
That guy's finally gone.
Yes, that dude's been beating us up for years. He's too knowledgeable.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm bummed.
But yeah, a lot of nice shellcracker bite. Big bluegill and shellcracker. It's been quite good for about a month already, and the bass fishing's still thriving as hot as it is.
Yeah,
They're
that's
still
good.
catching a lot of 6-7 pound fish.
Ooh, that's
Wow.
good.
Been 2 foot of water. It doesn't make sense.
Has it been raining a bunch out there in Polk County?
We've been getting different areas, pretty good downpours here and there, but nothing real bad.
Okay. I just know how frisky they get when that rain starts to drop on them.
Water's starting to move, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're starting to get some movement of water going, and that's always real good.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I saw an app being advertised by some Bass Pro guy, and he was talking about how this app, you can go to any lake anywhere, and it will show you where all the outflows are on that lake. I was like, that's interesting.
Wow.
That'll help you.
That's real good.
The outflow.
There's a lot of culverts, a lot of waterways, so there's quite a bit of movement going on.
Huh.
Moving water, just like salt water.
Yeah, moving water is key. Fish are lazy, just like people. They'd rather have food come to them.
Yeah. Think
Right.
like a fish.
Yes, sir.
Love it. Good stuff, Ronnie. Good stuff. Well, tell everybody how they can find you, and if they want to come out there and clean up on some tackle before you get out of there, or when are you closing? When are you done?
I'm not sure. Probably about 30 days I'll be gone, but at least a good 3 weeks before I really pack it out.
Well, I expect you to submit your resignation from being our freshwater guru, and then I need you to expect me to decline it and ask for you to resubmit in another 30 days for further disappointment.
All right.
'Cause
Not all lost yet. I still may be involved in something up in Inverness, maybe a
Okay.
store up that way. I'm looking
I
at
thought you were going to
Says the
retire.
guy who wanted
Well,
to
I
retire.
do. Yeah, but my brother lives in Daytona, and he's the one that got me in the bait business in Tampa years ago in the 70s. And he says, I'm going to buy a building over there by you, and maybe we'll put a little shop in there.
Nice retirement, bud.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
long-lived.
So my wife says, no way.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet she did.
Yeah.
I'll bet she did. No doubt. Good to hear your voice, my friend. You are the man.
Thank you. I'm at 380 South Lakeshore Way in Lake Alfred. Phone number 863-956-4990.
The freshwater guru, my hero.
Thanks, guys.
All right, partner.
I appreciate everything.
You bet,
Thanks,
man.
buddy.
We'll talk soon, buddy. Stay in touch with us.
Yep.
All right, partner.
Thanks.
All right, bye.
Bye.
He's the best, man. Such a really, like, to his core, like a really great human being.
Yeah.
Got to spend some time with him at ICAST several times, and just everybody just loves Ron. Just a good soul. Really good soul.
Yeah.
So
Super
been a big
nice.
part of, been
Very
chatting
knowledgeable.
been chatting with us on the freshwaters. Well, and he had a saltwater store here in Tampa for years before he moved out there. So good for him, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's always nice. You
I
hear
thought he
those
was going to
stories.
retire. He's back to it.
Yeah.
Now he's going to saltwater.
Right. Might want to take those bait tanks with you. I just want to move them to Inverness.
Chillers. That's nice.
Yeah, that's pretty
High
smart.
tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keeps the bait frisky.
He's been doing it a long time, so you know, good for him. Good
That's
for him.
awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. So you were saying the overnight trips wrecking them, huh?
Yeah, the 39-hour just texted us on the Garmin InReach, and they're doing really well out there. They got 10 muttons, some really nice steady pick overnight of some yellowtails, some mangroves, some porgies, vermilions, almacos. Daytime's coming, and as that sun rises, then we start moving into deeper water, targeting those red grouper, red snapper through the day. So hopefully they're going to continue to do really well out there. The 12-hour night's on its way in with some big yellowtails, kind of a slow, steady pick, not crazy fishing, but ended up with a nice catch. Those trips are kind of frustrating. Throughout the trip, it's just a couple fish here, a couple fish there, and you're working at it. But then by the end of the trip, you start pulling fish out of the box. You're like, we didn't do too bad.
Yeah, put together a pretty good bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what, getting back to this 36-inch red grouper,
Stud.
what's the, total stud. Is there a Hubbard's record?
We're really bad about that kind of thing. First of all, like the state record, world record, IGFA records, they're a pain in the keister to deal with. And it is challenging to submit for that because they want the name of your firstborn child, your blood type.
But that's why I said just a Hubbard's. Is there something off the top of your head? I mean, where you're like,
And
I remember
Hubbard's records are tough too because we don't keep good records, and we've been doing it since the 20s. So it's hard to say what the record would be, right?
Is there one in your brain like sticks out like
in
a
my
4-footer,
lifetime,
like a 48 inch?
36-inch plus red grouper is definitely the biggest that I remember, that I recall. But like back when my uncle Jeff was running the boat in the 80s and 90s, that was a different world back then. I mean, regularly catching 60, 70-pound gags, 100-pound blacks.
What?
Yeah. So it was a different era. I mean, those truly big trophy fish, they're a lot fewer and further between because of the pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different era.
I think that's interesting, and it's one of my biggest frustrations when I was, for the very short period of time I was allowed to get in those conversations in some of those rooms, was I never heard enough, in my opinion, I never heard enough about the pressure.
Yeah.
Everything was about, this science and that science, and okay, well, it's all great. I mean, it's all numbers, but nobody has mentioned the fact that we're growing at this rapid rate.
Yeah, I think it's one of those undertones, right? It's hard to necessarily hammer that or stand up and preach on that. I think it's understood in the background of the conversation, but at the same time, it kind of alienates people too, right? Because if you look at the offshore side of things, you have the commercial fleet, which has been under a permit moratorium since the 80s.
I was going to say, as long as I can remember.
And the federal for-hire fleet, we went under a moratorium in the early 90s, around the year I was born. So 91, There hasn't been any more charter boat or party boat permits issued. The only sector that has unrestricted, unregulated, unpermitted growth is the private recreational sector. And the growth is exponential. So if you stand up and hammer on growth and the pressure, you're really alienating the CCAs of the world. And you get in trouble quick if you start hammering that.
What do you mean you alienate? Why do you alienate CCA?
At the federal for-hire level, CCA is the big dog in the room, and they don't want you talking about the number of anglers out there and the pressure, because ASA, the American Sport Fish Association, the Congressional Fishing, I forget their acronym, but those guys are all the recreational advocacy groups at the federal fisheries level, and they're all about more anglers, more people, more boats, more motors, more tackle to sell. So they like the growth. So they don't want to see the growth capped. But
Well,
one of the conversations go ahead.
I don't think the conversation should have anything. You can't cap it.
You can cap it in the sense that
It's everybody's.
think
it's
about
everybody's
this.
right.
Think about this.
You can't cap it.
Well, slow down there, tough guy.
I'm just saying.
What you can do is, so if you go to a buffet, right, and there's a nice buffet line, and they put out all the food. If there's 1 million people in line for the buffet, you're only going to get a small portion of the food if everybody's trying to get a plate, right? Or if there's 10 people at the buffet line, you're going to be able to eat until you can't move. So the more people going out there and trying to catch a certain quota means you get less fish, shorter days, shorter seasons, less access. So what you could do, potentially, one of the tools in the management toolbox is some of these limited access programs, right? Whether it's fish tags, harvest tags, days at sea. There's some options on the federal or on the recreational side. One of the first steps is recreational permits. There really should be a recreational permit in the federal waters of the Gulf of Mexico. And that's not to cap it, but in order to find out what is caught, like everybody complains about recreational data, right? We don't know what we're catching. But then you turn around and say, well, are you willing to get a permit to go fishing in federal? No, I'm not doing that. The reason we don't know what's being caught is in order to have fisheries dependent science, you need 5 things. You need to know how many people are fishing, how many trips they take, what's their catch per unit of effort, what they're landing, and what they're discarding. In the commercial fleet, you know all of that to an exact science.
No, I get it.
To the federal for-hire fleet, the charter boats and party boats, they know those 5 things all pretty close, if not exact. On the recreational side, they have no clue how many people are out there. They don't know how many trips they're taking. If there was a permit and you had to have a permit to go out there, at least they would know the universe of anglers. And we've seen that. What's that? The benefit of that in the federal for-hire fleet. Once you know the universe of anglers, you can get a lot more of that information. So it might be worth exploring a permit, not capping it, unlimited permits, but just know how many people are fishing.
Here's the wild card. Is it a free permit?
Yeah, I think it should be a free permit, but it should be required. And if it's a free permit, it's a little bit challenging to make it a requirement, right? Because then someone can just like switch it off. But I think we should talk more about this.
I don't know if we should. It's a dangerous, slippery slope.
It is a slippery slope, but I think there's something has to move, right? Look at the slope we're on. Seasons keep getting shorter. 1-800-969-9352. I'm interested to know from you out there what your thoughts on this. Everybody wants a better recreational data.
We're talking about this on the other side. We'll be back next
If you want your windows there in weeks, pick up the phone and just search Reese. Protect your home now.
Yeah, because if it was earmarked, like, all right, you had to buy a permit and say it was $10 for the year to go fishing, and we could earmark that $10 to where it goes to recreational data collection.
Right.
that would be huge.
Right.
Because then the permit you're paying for is helping private recreational data collection.
Right.
And that would be awesome.
That's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't you think?
I agree. That's how it should be. We'll be right back, y'all. Bathroom break. We're back.
Dylan Hubbard.
Welcome back. 6:55 here at the iHeartMedia Empire. Put a shout out to our good friends at Relentless Perpetual Edge Knives. Self-sharpening knives that sharpen as they cut. Ultra hard carbide, never rust titanium blade, true grit glass reinforced ABS handle on a knife that is perfectly balanced. Comes in 5 great models to choose from. Take the work out of filleting a pile of fish and get your Relentless knives today. Go to relentlessknivesusa.com. Find out for yourself why this is the knife all the pros are talking about. I got a text from the Mad Snooker.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say Mahoney.
No, dude. Look at that pig.
Whoa. Let me see
Seriously, dude.
That is amazing.
There's a reason that he is the Mad Snooker.
The Mad Snooker. That is a beautiful fish.
That's a beautiful snook. Like, ridiculous. Gorgeous. Unbelievable.
Horse.
Beast.
That is a horse.
Yeah, welcome to beast mode.
Well, how many inches do you think that thing is?
I don't know, about the size of the head. It's eating up both of those dudes. So it's a 40-inch fish,
Yeah.
I would say. That's
a beautiful
absolute stud.
I wonder what he caught it on. Ask him. Probably a Booyah lipless crankbait. Royalty purple.
Probably. I don't know. That thing could eat
That
whatever.
thing ate a ladyfish, probably.
Ate a small child. It's ridiculous. What a beast, man.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those things. I say it about tarpon all the time. If you get a moniker like the Silver King, like seriously, like just you're a bad mamma jamma, right? Like when the whole planet, the whole entire fishing planet knows you as the Silver King.
But
you're
to me, a
bad
silver
mamma
king
jamma.
is a kingfish.
No, that's weak. Compared to a tarpon, that's weak. But when you get a moniker like the Mad Snooker,
Yeah.
and it sticks.
You've done something in
Like,
your life.
yeah, like people are like, Dave Pomerleau. Who's Dave Pomerleau? Oh, the Mad Snooker. When you say the Mad Snooker, they're like, oh, Captain Dave.
I think he's mad because he just doesn't sleep at night. I would die.
He's mad at Snook.
I would pass away on
Snook.
that schedule.
He's mad at Big Snook.
Yesterday I got like 5 hours of sleep, and I was not healthy yesterday.
No. I'm terrible without sleep. Horrible.
Yes.
My wife will tell you I'm terrible.
And the reason he's the Mad Snooker is he doesn't sleep.
But that could be it. I think he sleeps.
Granted, he
sleeps
catches
during the
huge
day.
fish. Like, I'm not going to take that away from him. But in my mind, you're mad because you don't sleep at night.
He's a witch. The dude's an absolute witch. Super
His
talented.
schedule's all messed up.
Big, mean slobs.
Yeah, huge snook. And this is that week, man. Those new moons.
Oh, for sure.
Man, when I was a kid growing up, docklight fishing, new moon week, whoo, especially new moon week in the summer.
Yeah.
You're not only catching plenty of trout, a few redfish, but those snook stack up.
You also
Blinds Pass, Pinellas Point, Sand Key,
I'd be
Johns
shocked
Pass.
if he doesn't hook quite a few poons, too.
Yeah.
Tarpon around them bridges, them 30, 40 pounders will sneak around them bridges. That's pretty cool, too.
That's always frustrating, though. You're fishing a bridge for a snook, and all of a sudden you hook a 50-pound tarpon. Takes you for a ride.
It's not a bad thing. It's pretty cool.
I don't know. You're hoping for a big snook, and you get a tarpon, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've got the 45-inch snook, and then all of a sudden it jumps. You're like, dang it.
We were fishing the Naples Take a Kid fishing tournament, and we were actually filming, and we had pre-fished the day before, and this spot had just monster snook on it. And we had a couple of soldiers with us, a couple of veterans in the boat with us as we were filming. And so I was kind of mating through the first, 4, 5, 6 snook, you know. But my buddy that I was filming with was like, hey, I need you fishing. Like, we need to win this tournament. I need you fishing. So I take a big bait out of there, pitch it up in there. Dude, as soon as it hit the water, I was like, oh, yeah. I set the hook, and it went pew, shot up, 30-pound tarpon.
See what I mean? So now
I
you know
wasn't
what I mean.
disappointed, though. We were filming. I'm like, that's good TV, bro. I'm never disappointed.
The tournament captain in the back was like, this guy.
I love those. We've got the dark side is calling.
Yeah, see, we conjured him up.
We did. We conjured up a spirit.
I feel like you probably shouldn't take that call.
We rubbed the genie's bottle and he showed up. That's not good. We'll talk to Mike Mahoney here on the other side. Phone lines are open, 1-800-969-9352. We'll be back, 970 WFLA.
The preceding program was paid for by Real Animals Fishing.
All your fault. All your fault.
All you have to do is mention recreational permits.
All your fault. This just went south. All your fault.
Yep. Told you it was contentious. But everybody complains about recreational data. We need better recreational data. We need to know what the recreational anglers are catching. How do you do that without knowing how many people are fishing? I mean, we were all screaming about the 1 million pounds of gags caught off the Skyway. It's because we don't know how many people are fishing.
But we know it's not 1 million pounds.
Yeah, they're guessing.
You can't guess 1 million pounds, for fuck's sake.
They did. We saw it.
That's just ignorant. That means the people that are fucking doing the guessing ain't very bright.
Well, that's the thing is they changed it. They saw those numbers. They agreed it's BS, and they don't use that data anymore. They use state data for gags. But for the love of God, we need to do something about recreational data.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what Mr. Mahoney thinks about that.
I love Mahoney, but we can't just keep complaining about the data being terrible and then not be willing to do something to try to fix it, right?
Oh, his period is shut it down. Shut it all down, but make sure the commercial guys don't get any either.
Yeah.
How come the commercial guys get a piece, but we don't get a piece?
Well,
that's his thing.
It's his thing, but at the same time, they don't shut down the fishery, right? They lower the quotas. So if you lower the quotas, the reason the commercial fishery can still exist is because they're managed differently under a different management structure. Because they know all 5 of those things, they have management flexibility. And the recreational fleet, they don't know any of those 5 things. They don't know how many people are fishing. They don't know our trips. They don't have catch per unit of effort. They don't know where we're landing or what we're discarding. They're guessing at all of that. So how do you manage differently? You can't. So you have to shut it down. You have to make the season shorter.
Shut it all down.
And if you shut it all down, look at what happened with Goliath. The way our federal management structure is set up, you have to have empirical data to reopen. So if you shut it all down, it'll never reopen. It'll take 15 years to reopen. Look at Goliath.
Fishing would be stupid.
Fishing would be stupid, but you'd have a catch and release fishery. And who's gonna burn? How much fuel did you burn on the 33 the one day you went out there? $400.
Yeah.
You're gonna burn $400 in gas to go catch and release fish offshore?
No.
Exactly.
But I would do it inshore. Not $400 because it won't cost me that much. Oh, and there's the other wizard, Lisa Fitzgerald too.
Nice.
We're locked and loaded here.
Jason has a good point. If you're born here, you should have more access than limits and transplants and tourists. And that's something that we would like to see in the federal for-hire and for-hire fleet is in Louisiana. If you're a charter captain and you're born in Louisiana, it's like $600-700 to get a charter permit. In the state of Florida, it's $600-700 to get a charter permit if you're born here. But if you come from Georgia and want to start a charter business in the summer while you're in town, it's still $600-700. In Louisiana, if you're from Florida and you want to go run charters in Louisiana, it's what, $3,000?
Expensive.
Yeah, they don't do that in Florida. If you're from out of state, you can come here, buy a charter permit, run a charter business for a few months, and then go back home. So you can do part-time charter business. It should be more expensive, and it should be more difficult for out-of-towners to come here and run charter businesses. Classic.
It's hysterical. Wrong. Meh. Oh, we got some more renourishment funding going on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Put some more sand there. It's going to end up in the pass.
Yep.
That'd be great. So stupid.
Careful. DSPC, that's their thing.
It is?
Yeah. The TDT funding, that's where it comes from. Or that's what funds it. 40% of the budget goes to beach renourishment. Because without beaches, we don't have tourism.
Do you think they're just going to go away?
What?
All those beaches? They just disappear?
Technically, yeah. Yeah, almost all our beaches lose sand, and without beach renourishment, beaches go away.
Really?
The only beach that hasn't received nourishment is Madeira Beach, and the reason why is because we have those beach groins. The other beach municipality took all their beach groins out because they're an eyesore. And so since they took out those beach groins, they've been losing sand on all those beaches, and so that we have to pay millions of dollars every year to put more sand on the beach.
Good to know.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
But I agree with you. I think it's silly. I think we should put the beach groins back on all those beaches, and then you don't have to renourish them.
100%. It's called.
But nowadays, what?
What's it called?
Beach groins. It's like little jetties. So, like in the middle of the beach, they put out a little hard seawall perpendicular to the beach, and it catches sand. Because sand naturally transports from north to south along our coast. So those little groins catch sand moving from the north, and then the beach gets longer, and then the beach groin gets overtaken and buried in sand. And then you make the beach groin a little longer, it catches more sand, and the beach grows.
Sounds like a no-brainer.
In today's world, you can't build them. You can't get them permitted. because they won't harden the beaches. Like John's Pass, they have empirical evidence if they lengthen the North Jetty, it would save the pass, prevent any more shoaling in the pass, would make Madeira Beach longer, but due to potential negative impacts to the beaches to the south, because it would stop sand transport to Treasure Island and beaches to our south, they will never ever even evaluate building a longer jetty.
I can't. The more I find out about our government, the less I like it. Just saying. Welcome back, 708 here, rolling into hour number 2 of the Bartow Forward Real Animals radio show. We've got some people on board here. Should get very interesting here. The next half hour, 40 minutes or so. So we're going to roll into some calls. You want to join us, 1-800-969-9352. You might just want to sit back and listen. Could get interesting. Let's go to the phones here. Let's start with the dark side himself, Mike Mahoney from T.A. Mahoney Company. Michael, how are you this morning?
What's up, guys?
How are you, buddy?
What's up, dude?
So weird to hear from
you. I'm so glad that he called in.
So weird.
He always gives me, you always give me a hard time about not calling in on Sundays unless Mike's here. You just never call in Saturday, ever.
Well, you know, the buffet sent me through the roof. That's all I can say. And I wanted to ask you about this buffet, right?
Yeah.
So us three go into a buffet, and it's loaded with people, and we eat all the food. It's gone, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have any of the food. But what they do is they let us walk through the kitchen, and we see a ton of food. They just haven't put it out in the buffet line.
True.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what's happening with fishing.
I couldn't agree more.
They tell
and
us
that problem right there that you're hitting on is like with gags, right? We see all these gags, yet our access is really short. And that is a problem with the way the system is set up. It's, on one hand, it's really cool that you can go to a federal fisheries meeting, be involved in the stock assessment process, have input, and be able to shape recreational fisheries. It's the only set of lawmaking in our country in which average Joe can go up, have his voice heard, and really have a part in setting those regulations. But because of that system and structure, and because there's so much input, and because there's so many public meetings, and there's so much federal regulation, and so many different steps, it slows the process down. So right now we're being managed for gags based on 2019 data. It's 2025, man. It's 6 years old data, and that's a huge problem. And there is some things that they're working on to try to speed that up, but I couldn't agree more. It's a huge issue we face.
Well, and there's no way to properly manage unless you know. We all have said it a million times. Well, the count's wrong. The numbers are wrong. So you can't. That's the biggest piece of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that I need to get a permit to tell you how many fish I'm harvesting when you don't know how many fish, not you, but the state,
I hear you.
How many fish we have.
So I think it's too.
That's the biggest problem. It's not me as the offshore guy catching fish. It's not the recreational guy that's not telling everybody what they caught. It's that they don't even know what they have. So how can the management work?
So there's two separate sides of the coin, right? The science happens, then the science goes through scientific review, then it goes to management. They make management laws, and then it goes to the anglers. And then those regulations is what we're under. In order to evaluate angler interactions, landings, you have to have some good data collection. That good data collection then back feeds into science. So what you're saying is we have a problem with science is lagging behind what we're seeing on the water. And that's a function of just the slow process, which is, I couldn't agree more, a huge problem. But in order to improve science, make science more effective, and improve the speed of science, if you have better inputs, better quality data inputs, like if we had a recreational, like let's not bring up the recreational permits. Let's look at the commercial fleet. They have vessel monitoring systems. They have to hail in. They have to hail out. There's so many checks and balances. You can go online right now and see, as of the last 24 hours, exactly how much quota has been landed, down to the ounce. They have almost real time, 24-hour lag on what's been caught.
What does that really matter if you don't have the number of how many fish are there? That's where they need to put their focus.
I agree.
It's not on us.
But if you have
what we catch, that's after the fact.
But if you have
those fish are dead.
But if you have better
What's
inputs,
still left?
If you have better inputs, you can work backwards better, right? Because think about counting fish in the water. It's really difficult, if not impossible, to count fish in the water. What they do is they take our landings, our catch per unit of effort, and how many trips occurred and how many people are out there, those 5 things, and they work backwards. That's how they come up with the numbers. So if you have really good landings information, really good catch per unit of effort information, really good universe of angler information, then you have a better idea of how many fish are in the Gulf. So that's a huge problem.
And that sounds great, and that works, but why isn't it working? Because they still don't know how many they have. That's the big.
But we have to give them. But you have to give them the wild card. I think what Dylan's saying, and I don't disagree with you, Mike. So just let that be there so you don't blow a top. Well, I think what Dylan is saying is the one piece of the puzzle that isn't giving them any information. That's probably a pretty big take as well. But we don't know how big it is the recreational side.
And on that
there's
note,
no information from our side at all getting to them for them to use for the data.
And better input, like garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you have guessing and you have estimates going into stock assessments, then the data coming out of it is less reliable. And with less reliable information coming out of it, there's more buffers for unknown. Like the way they set our quotas, you have an overfishing limit that's buffered down to an allowable biological count to account for scientific uncertainty. Then it's buffered down again to an annual catch limit for management uncertainty. Then it's buffered down again to an annual catch target for more uncertainty. So you might have a 100-pound overfishing limit that's buffered down to like a 45-pound annual catch target because of those buffers get so big because of all the uncertainty. And the more you decrease uncertainty, like in the commercial fleet, they've done that with all these regulations, and it's super over-regulated. But because they've reduced uncertainty, their buffers are almost non-existent, so they have more access. On the recreational side, we could do the same thing by increasing some of these ability to collect this data points. Then you're reducing uncertainty, you're allowing more access. So I agree completely. We have a problem with the fact that what we see on the water doesn't match what they're managing on because it's not matching up to the science because there's such a lag. Like with red grouper, they just said we're going to have red grouper open all year. We're all celebrating red grouper quota's gone up. That's based on science from 2022. I'm celebrating red grouper. Yes, it's cool that we got an increased quota, but the fact that in 2025 we're managing red grouper based on a 2022 stock assessment is kind of pathetic.
Yeah,
mind-boggling.
My personal opinion is they got to, instead of putting all the pressure on everybody to report what that, let's get some numbers right.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that science, that management works without knowing what you got. When you look at deer, you look at alligators, you look at different things, and we can all say,
so deer,
well, it's hard to survey what's here in the Gulf of Mexico.
You just defeated your own point. The reason they are so good with deer is because of harvest tags. They know exactly how many deer are taken.
They know
because
what they're starting with.
The reason they know what they're starting
with
is because of how many are taken. If you know what's taken out and you know how many, they survey because they know exactly how many hunters are in the woods because you have to get a hunting license.
No, what I'm
and
saying
they know
is
exactly how many deer are taken. So you know all those numbers.
Yeah, but they start with knowing how many deer they have.
Yeah, but that didn't happen by mistake, Mike, is what he's saying.
They get the number of deer they have because they know exactly how many hunters.
They kill by what they survey.
That's not how science works.
They survey deer. They survey alligators.
No,
they count them.
So there's two different ways that they come up with information on biomass. There's fisheries independent, and then there's fisheries dependent. And when the two intertwine, that's when you get a really, really certain number of biomass, and that's how you get the golden egg. To know exactly how many deer are in the woods or exactly how many fish are in the Gulf, you take fisheries independent science, which is scientists out in there in the woods counting the deer, and then you take the hunting dependent data, which is how many hunters are in the woods, how many deer are taken. You take those two data sets and you intertwine them in a stock assessment model, and you have a really solid number of how many deer are in the woods.
Yes, and you
don't have that in fishing.
That we don't have. You started with you count the deer.
Yeah,
Once you know what's alive, you can tell you what can be taken.
If you did not have a hunting license and you did not have deer tags, they would not have as good an idea of how many deer are in the woods, because all they would have is the surveys of deer. That is independent information. You have to have the independent information and then the dependent information. You input that into a stock assessment model, and that gives you the biomass. In fishing, we have fisheries independent science. They're out there. I just got a video of a NOAA white ship yesterday out there doing CMAP trawls. They do a bottom long line index. They have the G Fisher index, the camera studies. They do a litany of different counting fish techniques in the Gulf. And that's all well and good, but you have to add that to fisheries dependent science, because fishermen are smart, right? If you're not catching wahoo when you're out there on your next trip, Mike, you're going to use a different lure. You're going to change your techniques. So you can't just go survey the fish. You also have to survey the fishermen to figure out what techniques they're using and how they're changing to be more efficient. And then you add that information together through a stock assessment model. And in deer, they know exactly how many deer are out there because they have great surveys in the woods with scientists out there with clipboards collecting information, and then they know exactly how many hunters go out there and exactly how many deer they take.
Well, and they count them. They do their counts annually or every other year.
Right.
You know what
which
I
is
mean?
where the fishery needs to get there. And as you're saying this, Mike, all I know for sure is that there's been a deer license and a deer tag, a harvest tag, ever since I've been hunting. I'm 57. I've been hunting since I was 13. So that's a lot of years of data that they have that we don't have. And again, I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying here. I'm just saying the deer thing doesn't, because we've had the dependent.
The deer thing is an exact example of why a fisheries permit would help. Because
even if it wasn't a permit, even if there was some kind of
it doesn't need to be a permit.
Permit's a bad word.
Yeah, permit's a bad word. They just need to know how many people are fishing.
Right.
We need to know how many people are fishing, and we need to know have some semblance of an idea of what they're catching and keeping and what they're catching and releasing.
I agree with all that, but you have to start with how many you got.
You can't get to that number, Mike. You can't get to that number is what we're saying.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Dylan is saying you can't magically get to that number.
That.
Well, I don't know that you. Again, if you're going to use,
they count deer, they count alligators.
Mike, you're talking about something they've been doing since the dawn of man. My dad,
and it hadn't worked. It hasn't.
It's working in deer.
They count.
Yeah, it works in deer and it works in gators, but the fish obviously doesn't work.
Well,
they haven't. They don't have it, Mike. Mike, what you're saying doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you're
right.
They
don't have it.
How many is there?
Because you've never done it.
Hold on. So
that's the biggest piece of the pie.
In deer and in gators, so there's two different things: fisheries independent and fisheries dependent. So with deer, you have the hunting independent information without hunters, and then you have the hunter dependent information with the hunters, how many are out there, how many deer they're taking, and you take both of those data streams and you input them into a stock assessment model, and you know how many deer are out there because they've counted them and they have the hunter's information. In fisheries, we don't have one of those pieces.
Never had the recreational fishing information. Never had it.
That's a problem.
So there's no way to get to that exact number.
I agree. Along with never having
the whole
piece of pie.
Great Red Snapper count was a $12 million study, and they took $12 million in 2 years, and they counted exactly how many red snapper were in the Gulf, age 2 and up.
We got to go to break, buddy. Great call, Michael. Great call.
If us three were in a truck and we shot a deer at night and didn't report it, it wouldn't hurt the management, just to let you know.
There's also a line for unreported. So trust me, that's accounted for. Your spotlight hunting out of your truck is accounted for.
Michael. He's the best. We got a full board. Captain Jim Fogle, we've got Richard on South Shore, Captain Pomerleau, the legend, Captain Lisa Fitzgerald, and Captain Gene Hammond as well. We're going to be rattling through calls here for the rest of the show. Let's talk fishing. We'll be back. The Bartow Ford Real Animals Radio Show.
Did you understand what I was trying to say?
100%.
All right.
100%. And I understand what Michael's saying, and the piece that Mike, in my opinion, is missing is in all the years that I've been hunting, in all the years that I know my dad was hunting, I've got the tags and the back tags and the deer harvest tags that went on for the 25 years.
So if you have that recreational data stream of exactly knowing how many hunters are in the woods, exactly how many tags are filled.
He's saying, well, you got to start with how many fish are. You can't do that completely assured until you get the independent information from the recreational guy. You're missing that piece of the puzzle.
A huge piece of the puzzle.
100%.
How many millions of people are in the Gulf catching
100%.
how many millions of pounds of fish? And we have no idea.
No,
and on the flip side of that, people might be like, well, if they know how many fish we're catching, our quotas are going to be filled, or our seasons are going to be shut down because there's so many out there and they're catching so many fish. What a lot don't understand is if they do this and all of a sudden they're like, well, we thought there was 1 million people out there catching 1 million pounds of fish. Well, there's 10 million people out there catching 10 million pounds of fish. It doesn't just, in the short run, it would shut things down. But in the long run, the model has to account for, well, we've been wrong for the last 40 years. They've been catching so many more fish. There's actually more fish out there. These fish are healthier than we thought. The biomass is bigger, so the quotas get bigger. So, like, there's, I don't know.
No, you're right.
Drives me crazy.
There's a piece to that. You're right. And again, Michael doesn't want anybody in his business,
and neither do I. And I
don't
that.
either. I understand. I totally understand it. But it's interesting because he brought up the deer thing, and then I saw you jump all over it. He's like, perfect, because you're right. And then that's the other interesting piece. I was thinking the same thing because I don't always tell Georgia how many deer I take.
Yeah. But that's accounted for too.
Right. You're supposed to.
Yeah.
Not everybody does.
Yeah, there's always a line for unreported and illegal catch.
But here's the other thing.
IUU, illegal, unreported, unregulated.
But here's the other wild card. In Georgia, you're allowed $2 and 10 does per license. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of deer.
That's a lot of deer. I've never shot all them deer. Ever. So they're allowing you to take that many, expecting you can take that many, or they wouldn't give you the tags for them. I don't take anywhere near that.
But also on the flip
I've
side,
taken 5 deer,
you also hit on the a tenet of fisheries and hunting management is if you have a very short season with a very low quota, there's a increase in demand because when supply is low, demand is high. So the likelihood of it getting filled is much higher. Whereas if you have a really long season, like red snapper, state management, when seasons were 6 days, everybody and their brother, it didn't matter if there was a hurricane, I'm going fishing because I got to catch my red snapper. Now recreational season is 126 days. By the end of recreational red snapper, no one's even fishing for them. Oh, red snapper's open this weekend? It's no big deal. So as those quotas get bigger and those bag limits get bigger and you're allowed $2 and 10 does, I'm never going to fill those. I don't have to fill those. I'll get them next year. I got enough to fill my freezer. I'm good. So there's also a tenet to that as well is, yes, you're allowed $2 or $2 and 10 does, but they know that you're not going to fill them because they can see the landings data, the harvest data from past years from anglers or from hunters. So they can increase those levels and potentially attract some more hunters to the area, knowing 90% of hunters won't fill those tags. So yes, they give you 2 bucks and 10 does, but if every single hunter in Georgia next year filled 2 bucks and 10 does, it would be a problem. I guarantee the biomass couldn't support that level of harvest. They're giving you that many because they know you're not going to fill them. Because they look at harvest levels and they can estimate what the general limit or what the general harvest would be per hunter.
But why give you so many then?
Because it's a tourism thing. Why are you going to choose to hunt in Georgia versus choosing to hunt in Alabama or Tennessee or Kentucky? You can offer more does and more bucks.
I think the season's on because you have so many deer, right? They need them taken out.
They need them taken out. That's also why they increase them. So some people will come to Georgia and fill 2 bucks and 10 does, but not everybody. And they know exactly that limit because they've been doing it for how many years. They have the harvest data. And that's a management function we don't have the ability to utilize because we don't know how many people are out there.
Got to go quick here. Unfortunately, we went long with Mike. We're going to do a real quick safe boating tip here. Captain Jim Fogle, our Visit St. Pete Clearwater Safe Boating Tip of the Week. Sorry, Jimmy. Mike got us a little rolling there, so
yes,
it's got to be a short one, buddy.
Got it. All right. What I want to talk about is these 2 terrible jet ski accidents in the last week.
Okay.
One off Lido Key killed a 19-year-old minor league infielder that was played for the Baltimore Orioles. Evidently, 2 jet skis collided head on. I'm not sure about that. They're not sure. Anyway, the bottom line is they obviously were pretty close to each other, and they may or may not have been going too fast for conditions. You got to be careful. And even as bad as that, someone on a jet ski pulling a tube with 3 kids in it hit a dock up in Putnam Alachua area in Hawthorne and killed one of the kids. So please, people, please, you shouldn't be anywhere near the shore or, if there's anything projecting out into the water and or anywhere near another vessel that you could possibly run into.
Yeah, that's
so please let's pay attention.
And it's summertime. Summertime, you got a lot of extra people on the water, a lot of extra skiers and jet skiers and tubers and all that stuff going on for summertime. So even if you're just a recreational boater, be on the lookout because you got a lot of people using the water this time of year. So safety
especially on the weekend.
Yes.
And July 4th's coming up. My advice is don't go out on the water. Stay home. If you live here, stay home.
Right. Take a different weekend.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Jimmy. We appreciate you, brother.
All right, guys.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. Appreciate the time for the Coast Guard Auxiliary in St. Pete. Jim Fogle. Be safe out there.
Well done, big dog. Appreciate you. Visit St. Pete Clearwater, our safe boating tip of the week. We've got Richard, Captain Dave, Captain Lisa, and Captain Gene all up on the other side. We'll be back next
From the local Lexus dealers, WFLA News Desk.
Good job there, Jim Fogle. I didn't want to make Richard do a...
Yeah, you can't make... Yeah. He's got a lot to say. You guys in the comments are too funny. Oh, man. Mahoney called in on a Saturday.
He's always listening.
Let the record reflect.
I don't have any comments on my. How can that be? How can that be?
Probably because you swiped right or left, and you got to turn the comments back on.
What did I do?
If you swipe on the screen, you can shut the comments off. So swipe on the screen, right or left, and the comments should come back.
Just swipe on the screen.
Oh, dear.
Oh, yeah, okay, I got it.
You got it?
Well, I see where there's comments, but I don't see them come up. How come they don't come up? I don't get it. I'm a retard. Okay, you have to show me what I'm doing wrong there. Here, I can bring it to you. I just hand it to you.
Well, you should, like, you're wanting to see the comments on the screen.
How about that?
Well, why are you on this one?
I don't know.
You're on the Capt. Hubbard one.
I am?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe that's why. Oh, yeah, there they were. I saw them. They're up there now.
You see them?
Yeah, there they are.
Yeah. There you
Okay,
go.
I couldn't do that. I was like, Tanya Lewis. She's a legend. Building a Waffle House in Homosassa. Nice.
No one cares.
I do. I'm not no one, Dylan. That's hysterical. What the hell? How did I get that in my messages? That's hysterical. What?
You. How did I get that in my messages?
I'm just saying, who's that old Mark Weaver? Dude, it's funny. Look at this. Watch. Here, come up. Turn the volume up.
Make sure your vibrator and your taser are different.
That's funny, bro. I don't care what anybody says. That shit is funny. Welcome back. 7:36 here at the iHeartMedia Empire. Let's rattle through some of these calls. Captain Mike Anderson, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at the Bartow Ford Real Animals Radio Show. Let's check in with the legend Richard on the South Shore. Richard, how are you?
I'm still at large.
Still at large. Attaboy.
How are the manatees doing, buddy?
Hey, listen, buddy, I got a earful.
Just wanted to set it off right.
You're back. Hey,
I'm sorry.
okay, you're right about the Gulf of Mexico. You got the name right anyway. When you were okay, yeah. I know the big guy won't like that. But that's too bad. So right there, but your scientific, shall we say, acronym has taken a hit with me anyway.
Okay.
Talk to us.
Is you often quote a $27 million figure for feeding the manatees. And
it's 26.
Turns out I looked into that, and that's not true. It was approximately $30 million was allocated for cleaning up the habitat and restoring damage done, most of it in the Indian River Lagoon area. And less than $500,000 was spent on feeding the manatees, and a lot of that food was either donated or bought it at a discounted rate from wholesalers. So if you want to check that out and come back on and retract your $27 million for feeding the manatees, I'll reconsider.
Yeah, it was 26 million, and the project was for habitat restoration, but it was all designed around feeding the manatees because they were trying to rebuild the habitat to feed the manatees. So essentially, the goal was to put more seagrass out in order to feed the manatees. So I agree, it wasn't all lettuce. I don't think I portrayed it that way, and if I did, I misspoke. But yes, you are correct. It was $26 million, and it was all about habitat restoration to feed manatees, which I think is a little bit silly in my mind.
Well, it was all about restoring the Indian River Lagoon so the manatees could live there. Now, that waterway was pretty much dead, and there are other things in there besides manatees, so it wasn't strictly for manatees. But anyway, on to the other point about the regulation on recreational fishermen, we've already been regulated. When they lowered the catch limits on grouper to 1 and made it where 75% of the time you can't keep even one, I don't go fishing out there anymore. And a lot of people of, shall we say, my income bracket, which is not real high, but used to be 2 or 3 guys on the street. You would see them headed out with their boats and rods and this and that and the other. You don't see that anymore.
So what grouper is 1 per person? Because red grouper's 2 per person, gags are 2 per person. They propose going to 1 gag per person this year for this season alone, but they have not passed that rule, and it does not seem they are gonna.
Okay. But even then, by the time you get done with the expense of going and the restricted bag limits, and again, I'm on Mahoney's side. Yeah, I'm on Team Mahoney, believe it or not. That if they're that endangered, cut out the commercial fishing.
So both the commercial and the recreational sectors for gags got a huge cut in quota, and the commercial guys actually got a larger cut because they moved quota to the recreational side. So they made the split more favoring commercial or recreational. I believe for gags, off the top of my head, don't quote me on this, is about 60-40. So 60% of the quota got moved to recreational and only 40% is commercial. And the quota cuts were equal across the board. They cut the total allowable catch, the overall ACL. So thus both subsectors got huge reductions. So when people say, oh, they got to cut commercial catch, they do every time. So that always confuses me a little bit when people say, oh, they got to shut down the commercial. They do in the same way they shut down recreational. They lower the quota. But commercial fisheries are managed in a different aspect because they know those 5 things, and they have those VMS. They are tracked 24/7. They hail in, they hail out. Their quota is real-time managed. That way they are able to have other options in their management toolbox. And what they're managed under, the IFQ system, they know that quota up to real time, and they're able to manage it in a different way. So it is confusing and frustrating, and I agree. When you look at it, it doesn't make sense. But when you look at the numbers, their quota is much significantly less than recreational anglers.
Richard, good call, brother. I got to jump. I got to go. I got to try to get through all these, my man. But you're the best. We love your takes always. I love your passion, bro.
And I agree with you.
top water on the flats.
There it is.
All right, buddy. Be good. Thank you, sir. Good stuff. Let's check in here. Trying to go by amount of time on hold here, and our good friend Captain Lisa Fitzgerald, our resident Hall of Famer, has been on hold for a while. So let's check in with the legend, Captain Lisa Fitzgerald. How are you, my friend?
Well, good morning, Mike. Good morning, Dylan. Yeah, what a controversial issue you guys are on right now.
Stirring the pot, baby. Stirring the pot, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, you might have to deal with it yourself.
I'm prepared for that because I just listened to some really great information. But we'll change the subject and go on to something a little more rewarding.
There you go.
Which is the 6a-8a Florida Star competition presented by Yamaha. Do you know we still have all of the boats available? We have 24 Carolina skiffs powered by Yamaha. We have a Seabourn center console 22. We have a Spider Vapor, and we have a microdraft skiff.
Ooh,
We've had
nice.
touching tagged redfish, but they are not in the competition, and they are not a CCA member. That's all you have to be. And, of course, catch a tagged redfish. But I remind every single angler out there that's fishing today or any day the rest of the summer, it's any fish can win. There are so many great prizes, Mike. Angle coolers, Bull Bay rods, Minn Kota, Humminbird, Power Pole, Costa. I could go on and on and on. But there are so many great prizes to win, both inshore and offshore, and even for people picking up garbage out of the water. So, I encourage everyone, if you haven't gotten registered, please get registered today. We really need your support. We've got youth out there that are fishing that can win their share of $100,000 in college scholarships in the Guy Harvey Foundation Youth Scholarship Division presented by Real Tree Fishing. I can't tell you
It's incredible.
the number of people that can win.
Yes.
It's incredible. We've seen it. We talked about it earlier in the show. I had somebody win a boat just catching a trout on my boat.
Mm-hmm.
Won a boat.
And I know someone in Galveston who caught a tagged redfish who wasn't registered.
Well, you guys know a couple people. All these captains take their clients out on the boat, and their clients catch redfish that are tagged, and nobody gets to win anything at that point. Both of the fish have been released. One was in Hernando County, one was up in the Panhandle. There's lots of other fish out there. Citrus County and Charlotte County are our destination counties. They have 8 tagged redfish in their water. Do you know that Tampa Bay has 3 different counties that surround Tampa Bay? Each county has, on average, 4 fish. So in the Tampa Bay area, ta-da, if we do the math, and math is a great problem solver, right, Dylan?
Amen to that.
We have 12. We know how many fish are in the Tampa Bay area that are tagged. 12. No stick on you, Mike Mahoney. I love you, man. But we know how many fish are out there, and no one has caught one yet. So if you're fishing Tampa Bay, you should be registered. That's all I've got to say. I got a lot of other people waiting on the line.
How do we get it?
I just want to throw out there, she knows because of the universe of anglers how many fish were put in the water. It's interesting.
How does everybody get signed up, Lisa?
Yes, you can go to CCAFLSTAR.com, get registered there, or give us a call. My goodness, 844-387-7827. But one thing you have to have is the official identifier in your boat. When you take the picture, you can pick them up at West Marine, Academy, T.A. Mahoney's, Gator Gym, so many different places. So don't forget to pick those up. You have 24 hours to submit your fish. And we collect dependent data, just so you guys know. All the data that we gather on offshore is provided to FWC. So there is a way that they can get some updated information if they want it.
You're the best. You are the Hall of Famer. We appreciate you more than you know. I know I'll be seeing you soon here. ICAST is right around the corner, my friend.
Yes, sir. I can't wait. That's a great time to see all your friends. And I call them family because the fishing community is a family. We all got to stick together.
Amen, my friend. Have a great day. Tell Lo we said hello.
Yes, sir. See you later.
All right. See you, my friend. Great
those
call.
CCA identifiers are at the Marina, too. We're giving out a ton of them.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. Let's check in with the Mad Snooker, Dave Pomeloy. Thanks for hanging in there, Dave. We've had some spirited conversation here, so we appreciate you staying with us.
Oh, I wasn't going to go anywhere. This was great. I'm enjoying it. I haven't ever heard it sounded like a little banter going there, but
a little banter, no doubt.
There was between the three of you guys, Mike and Dylan, and that's a ton of knowledge right there.
No, we appreciate it. We try to. Sometimes it gets a little tough when you jump on the conservation conversation, or when you start talking about taking away, limits and all that stuff. It strikes a nerve in people sometimes in a real negative way. It can turn people off. And two guys in this room. There's only two of us here, but you got two people here that really, really, really love to fish. Not only is it what we do for a living, but we both fish for fun. We both take our kids fishing. We both fish for the enjoyment. We love the sport. So there's a lot more to it for us. There's, not just is it our livelihood, but it's, we want
lifestyle.
Fishing. Yeah, we want fishing to be here. I want fishing to be here when I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything I've learned, I was just thinking about it this morning, it wasn't that long ago that this seat was occupied by the legendary Capt. Mel Berman. And now Mel's not with us anymore. And at some point, as bad as it sounds, the reality is I'm not going to be here anymore. My kids are going to be here. My grandkids are going to be here. I'm hoping, anyway, and I hope that they get to fish and enjoy this fishery the way I've enjoyed it. My grandson, we're going to run over to Orlando today to watch him play hoops. When he has kids, I want him to have the opportunity to take his kids and enjoy this estuary, enjoy fishing. I want him to tell stories about his grandfather who had a radio show and a TV show and was a charter captain. And, this is what he used to catch and this is what he did with us and took us fishing. We need to be able to share that with our kids. And if we're not paying attention to it, and again, I'm not saying we need to shut stuff down. I'm just saying we need to make sure we get the information correct so that we have the information to do what's right for the fishery. If there's more fish out there, then damn it, open it up. If there's not,
and one thing we haven't talked about is even if you had $1 billion and you had all the right scientific inputs you want, you need enforcement to make sure that the rules are followed too. That's a big problem.
Why are you gonna? We're almost done with the show, Dylan.
There's another grenade.
I'm just taking a little break. I've just been goofing off fishing.
Yeah,
I like to goof off once in a while.
You've been catching some big snook, bro. Those are some silly fish you sent me pictures of. Jeez.
Yeah, those were some friends that I just took fishing for fun, and I'm like, yeah, that's a big doggone fish. Yeah, he got one. We got one. A friend of mine got one 45 inches there a few nights back.
45-inch snook.
On what? What did he catch that one on?
That one actually came on it's hard to describe, but it's like it's a jig, but it's like a flare hawk. I take a flare hawk looking jig and I stick a great big 6-inch shad tail with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it ends up being about 7-8 inches long, but it's not really something you can buy. It's just something we married together and it works, and these big snooks slam it.
So it's a flare hawk style jig with a soft plastic threaded on the hook.
Yeah.
Exactly. Kind of like what they used to do with a bass worm on a.
That's what we use offshore for grouper.
Yeah, there's that.
This dude's using it inshore for 45-inch snook.
I thought for sure you were going to say we caught it on a 4-pound mullet.
Well, it looks like by the time you get this thing put together, it looks like about a 12-inch mullet.
I'll bet.
It puts a nice silhouette out, and the nice thing about it is you can just cover so much territory really quick with it. Boom, 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 boom. Not worry about it dying. Right. Sure, you lose some to rocks, you got to rig up another one, but I'm on for a few weeks now. I'm on goof off mode. I got to goof off, and I banged my elbow up really bad flipping out of the boat. So I came down to crush metal. I'll send you a picture of that. You'll be like, ooh, damn it, man.
Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, David. You're the best in the business. If they want to catch big snook, how do they get a hold of you?
Oh, just madsnooker.com, and I'll get back to them here. I'm taking a little break for a little bit, and I'll get back to it here. I am going to do my annual goof off trip with my friends over down to Lauderdale area.
Good, good for you. Nobody in the business better, man. We appreciate you chiming in with us. Stay in touch with us, brother. We love your reports, love the pictures.
Thank you so much. Have a great show, guys.
You too, buddy. He is the guy when it comes to big snook on the west coast of Florida. We're going to wrap things up here on the other side. We're going to talk to Captain Gene Hammond, Lines of Liberty, real quick, and then put a cap on this interesting show. I'm sure some of this will get brought up again tomorrow as well, but we'll be back wrapping things up on the other side. 970 WFLA.
Yeah, tomorrow when I'm not here to defend myself.
I think that
Can we talk about the manatee thing though? It's like, yeah, it was $26 million to feed manatees because they wanted to plant more grass to feed manatees.
And bro, what do you?
And the reason it's dead, all right, water quality, water temperature, but also at the same time, we've never talked about carrying capacity.
8 gazillion.
Pick up the phone and just search freeze. Protect your home now.
Drive to Orlando for a basketball game.
That drive should be fun. Hopefully Beth's driving.
At least my truck's right. saved the possum. I almost died, but the possum lived. Okay, well, good for you. It's like all the people riding their bikes in the bike lane with a perfectly good sidewalk. Makes no sense. Welcome back. We are definitely up against it. Things ran a little long in our segments. The great Derek DeBose on the other side, keeping us rolling here. Captain Gene Hammond checking in with Lines of Liberty. What you got, my brother?
How's it going? It's a little spirited this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness, great.
Yeah, a little bit. Firewater.
Don't hang up on me, Mike, but I'm sitting in Roadtown Harbor in the British Virgin Islands now with another delivery.
Click. You gone. You gone. You are gone.
But hey, we have finally started our campaign to build this wheelchair accessible pontoon. We need this vessel so we don't have to turn away or scramble around or find other organizations to help our wheelchair veterans out.
Yep.
If anybody would like to help, we need a lot of help. We've got a good start going, and the boat is being built. It's being put together now. Going to be a beast, a big 26-foot pontoon with high rails and wheelchair accessible gates. So if you want to help, you can look us up on GoFundMe or just go to linesofliberty.org, and we appreciate everybody. Thank you so much.
Well done, dog. Thanks, Gino. You the man. Good stuff he's doing over there, Lines of Liberty. What do we got for weather?
Weather is looking good this week. We've got a new moon coming up Wednesday. A little bit of rain in the forecast, so watch that radar.
Yeah, keep an eye on the sky. Definitely had some rainy days this week, too. So weather update always brought to you by our good friends at Reese Windows and Doors. Over 50 years in business, free installation. Most windows and doors installed in just 6 to 8 weeks. My favorite part of the whole Reese Windows deal, double lifetime warranty. You never pay for warranty when you sell your house. The warranty transfers to the new owners, which adds value to your home. Visit ReeseWindows.com for more information.
And we'll see you Tuesday, noon 24th, 7 to 9 p.m.
This Tuesday, 7 to 9, OCC Roadhouse. That's right. Make sure you check us out tomorrow morning, 95.3 WD80 and AM 620 from the City Mahoney Company Radio Show.
We'll see you guys Tuesday for the Real Animals fishing conversation from 7 to 9. We're giving away Bull Bay rods, Ingle coolers. It's going to be a good time. Real Animals and Hubbard's Marina swag as well. So hopefully everybody can come out and join us. It's going to be a good time for sure. So we'll see you Tuesday, and hopefully Mahoney will join us, and we can continue this spirited discussion and more.
Let's hope.
Y'all have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning for the show, 7 to 9 a.m. on 620. Tomorrow night for the live show, 7:30 p.m. on the Hubbard's Marina and Real Animals Facebook pages. Y'all have a good day.
Crashed, abandoned. I thought it was foreclosed or something.